Before you start writing your exploded moment narrative, I want you to see mine as a model. And I want you to look at the highlighted areas. The highlighted areas are showing you the dialogue. Now, you will notice that not everything is them talking. There's also parts that are called narration. It's called a narrative. So in the narration, you're showing what they're doing as they're talking. And that's how stories are written. They include dialogue and this narration where you see what they're doing. So here's the continuation of my exploded moment. Mrs. Forsakerson turned and headed into the school building, leaving a trail of papers, pens, and paper clips behind her. Milo ran after her, picking up the items as he went. Excuse me, Mrs. Forsakerson. Excuse me, called Milo. I need to ask you a question. Mrs. Forsakerson continued walking down the cluttered hallway, completely ignoring Milo's pleas. Mrs. Forsakerson, Milo called out, a little louder this time. Young man, I am very busy. I must get to class, she responded, as she turned and collected her things back from Milo. Please, Mrs. Forsakerson, I am trying to rescue Rhyme and Reason, Milo begged her, as he followed her to her classroom. Mrs. Forsakerson entered her classroom and spoke to her students. Good morning, class. Or is it, she asked with a smirk. You have a reading test today. Surprise! Do whatever you can and don't bother trying the rest, she instructed as she walked around the classroom, carelessly dropping the tests on their desk. Some landed on the desks, as others fell on the floor. Milo stared at the teacher with his mouth wide open. What do you mean? Milo asked her. Shouldn't you tell them to do their best? This is what my teacher always says to us. Why would I tell them to waste their time on a test? Mrs. Forsakerson replied. It's much easier and faster for them to just give up, she continued, rolling her eyes in annoyance at Milo. So this is my first section. You can see how it's about school and it's about learning. Milo's school experience is very different than the school experience that these students have in Mrs. Forsakerson's classroom. And you need to show that difference. Milo should talk about what school and learning is like in his world compared to what's happening at Abandon Elementary. So make sure that comes across when you write this first section, which is part of your action problem section in your planner.